My next point was, it's clear that Kevin Holland didn't do his research on Wonder Boy before this fight. And I'm not saying he had a severe advantage on the feet or when it comes to striking, but at the same time, and he's longer, he's taller. Why are you not letting Wonder Boy come to you?
Back everybody with a recap of UFC on ESPN 42, Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland, and that was easily the fight of the night. Obviously they got a bonus. Sergey Pavlovich got a bonus, and
he should have got 2 or 3 bonuses.
And Roman Dolidze. I think that's pretty fair. Philip Rowe probably would have gotten one, but he missed weight, so he was ineligible. Kind of messed him up. But as far as the main event is concerned, that was a heck of a fight.
Yeah, Kevin Holland was a shell of himself. He looked like he did not want to be in there. Kevin Holland looked like he was about 30% there.
Mentally?
Yeah, mentally.
It was weird to me, man, because it was supposed to be striker versus striker. But then after about 2 minutes, it became very clear that Kevin really didn't have a lot to offer Wonder Boy except for power. And then once he was able to see that Kevin really only was trying to land the right hand, it just became easy. It just became a cakewalk almost.
That, and also Kevin's punches were not straight. He was throwing a bunch of looping punches, man. It was like, bro, your reach is 81. Straighten up your punches.
And if you notice, that's how Wonder Boy was tagging him. Straight punches, crisp 1-2s. I feel like Kevin Holland's striking should have looked like Philip Rowe's striking.
Ooh.
When I was watching Philip Rowe's fight, I was thinking, man, if Kevin can fight like this, he'll be okay. But it was so odd. Stephen Thompson is fast. Man, he was hitting Kevin with some punches so fast, Kevin couldn't even respond. He couldn't put his hands up. Kevin had his hands down. At some point, after Stephen got hurt, it became apparent that even when Kevin had him hurt, there was nothing he could really do to him. He was trying to get a few elbows off. He went straight to the clinch, trying to knee him up. I guess he was trying to do what he did to Jeff Neal back in the day. And it just didn't work. It was a good, fun fight, man, but I told y'all, I gotta say this. Everybody kept talking about Stephen Wonder Boy, Thompson is done, and he should retire. I told you, Gilbert Burns had to take that fight to the ground. He did not want anything to do with the striking. And Bilal, obviously, his striking ain't really all that anyway. Like, he just got a knockout win in his last fight. He had to mix up the striking and the takedowns. And he really had to maul Stephen on the ground and keep him there. And even then, Stephen was trying to get up. I told y'all, the 2 fights before the 2 losses, Stephen made Jeff Neal look bad. Stephen made Vicente look bad. I told you, when he fight pure strikers, it is hardly nothing they can do with him, man.
I'm gonna say 2 things. The first thing is, it was odd how Kevin had to fight on the ground and they had some kind of agreement. Okay, no grappling. It's like, bro, you're a black belt and that's where you have the significant advantage. Why are you not trying to submit him? That was so odd, man. You got the blown arms, bro. Or you get him in a Darcy choke, it's a wrap. Wonder Boy can't get out of that. And that was that's what I said before the fight. I said that's one advantage Tyron didn't have. Vicente didn't have a way to get to the ground.
Yeah.
And he wanted to strike with him. So you did the same thing Vicente did. Even though Vicente has the grappling advantage, you just made a striking match just for the heck of it.
And you know what? I was so frustrated last night watching it, even though it was exciting. I know Kevin was trying to do this thing where I'm going to please the crowd and let's keep it pure striking and all that. But then after the fight, it looked like his soul was gone. And that was a winnable fight on the ground. Because once you start grappling people and they start getting fatigued, then now they have to worry about, okay, is he going to try to get me to the ground again and submit me? Or is he going to strike with me? Or is he striking with me just enough to go for a takedown? It can really be a tool that you can use against your opponent because now they don't know what to look out for. Kevin let Stephen stand up twice. And then when Kevin Holland was about to be finished, Stephen looked like he was about to take his back and try to choke him out for a split second until Kevin rolled around to his guard. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Man, I like Kevin Holland, man, but the decision making here was bad, man. I don't want to be disrespectful because Kevin is my guy, man. I told you, when I went to Houston, the first person I ran into on accident was Kevin. Super nice guy, man. I've been rooting for him ever since. I hate to say it, but it seemed like it cost him a lot because then he started getting beat up bad. Just reeled back. He had Kevin against the cage, and he fired off 2 or 3 head kicks in a row, spinning kicks, liver kicks.
That's what I was saying before the fight, during the predictions video. I said that Wonder Boy was more unpredictable than Kevin Holland. And you said Kevin Holland was more unpredictable. I was like, yeah, but when it comes to striking and kicks and not knowing what he's going to throw.
But I didn't know that Kevin was going to play that game where I don't do no ground game. If you had told me that they made that agreement, if I knew they were serious about that, because people say that all the time. Remember, people did that on Rampage. People did that with Jeremy Stevens. People did that. And, oh, we ain't gonna go to the ground. And the first thing they did was go on the ground. The first thing they did was get the fight to the ground or try to. If I had known that Kevin was literally gonna give up dominant ground positions, I would have never, ever picked him in this fight.
I think what happened is, before the fight, they had a couple interviews together, and I think Wonderboy kind of got in his head, and the shaking hands, and hey, tell me about this. How long have you been doing Kung Fu? Oh, you really do Kung Fu? I think Wonderboy got in his head.
And see, I told you in the prediction, I said Stephen low-key is a little manipulative. He's a little bit deceitful when it comes to that because he'll play these games like I'm real cool and da-da-da. And man, he beat the dog piss out of Kevin.
It's cool what he's doing. He's not doing nothing wrong.
Yeah,
Wonderboy is just... wrong. That benefits Wonderboy if the fight not going to the ground. Does it make sense?
Yeah, and that was,
now he was like, "How long have you been doing Kung Fu?" He said that in the interview together before the fight, and I guess he was trying to get Kevin to think, okay, he's a striker, because Kevin is a striker, but he's also a ground game guy, making a striking match. I don't believe
Kevin is a striker. I believe that Kevin is a little bit of a jack of all trades, if that makes sense, just minus the wrestling.
Yeah.
And so if he fight a pure striker, he gonna have trouble. If he fight a pure jiu-jitsu guy, that might be trouble. A pure wrestler, that's going to be trouble. But everybody else who's kind of a little bit good anywhere, he can beat them. But for Holland to give up those dominant positions, meanwhile, in your previous fight, Kamzat took you to the ground and immediately submitted you the first opportunity he got, and he might be fighting for a title next or fighting for a #1 contendership. I'm just thinking, does Kevin want to be a champion, or is he just cool being in the UFC? Because what we try to do is rally behind people who are trying to push for the title. The Jeff Neals, the Umar Nurmagomedovs, the Sean O'Malley's. I'm just saying, people who have championship aspirations. And we rally behind them because we know they're fighting to push to go and make history. And there's nothing wrong with being okay with being in the UFC, but it don't feel good to lose. Don't tell me you're happy with that, because I looked on the UFC's YouTube channel, and they had the post-fight interview from Kevin inside of the cage. He was visibly hurt, visibly frustrated. It looked like his soul was destroyed, man. That looked like one of those fights that people don't come back from. That was like Carlos Condit, Robbie Lawler. That was like, who else did that? Dominic Reyes, John Jones, except for obviously that fight was more competitive. But after the first 2 rounds in this fight,
Rory McDonald, Robbie. Man, the fight was not competitive after the first round. But I also want to say this. Was that because Kevin's hand got compromised? But I don't think it would have changed that much. But that was the only thing Kevin was throwing anyway. He was not mixing up the striking like he was supposed to. He was just kind of running in, jumping in, doing this weird karate thing, but it wasn't effective. But this last thing I'm going to say about this fight. Tyron, he put the blueprint on how to beat Wonderboy. And he said, dude, you have to fight, let him fight your type of fight. You have to stay on the outside and counter him. Because whenever you play this game where you walking him down, he can counter you. And that's what he was doing. I think low key, Kevin Holland was concussed. I think he was concussed probably in the first round.
Had to be.
Because them shots he was taking, man, I think he was standing up and he was conscious, but I don't think he was there.
Did you see the punches that Kevin was eating? Those 1-2s that Stephen was throwing?
Oh, yeah.
And then he threw a few hooks here and there. And I was thinking, man, this man cannot be in the same space. So around the 3rd or 4th round, I was thinking in my head, okay, Kevin should do this. He should do that. And I started thinking, he's not there.
And that's what I was going to say. My next point was, it's clear that Kevin Holland didn't do his research on Wonderboy before this fight. And I'm not saying he had a severe advantage on the feet or when it comes to striking, but at the same time, he's longer, he's taller. Why are you not letting Wonderboy come to you? And then people going to say, yeah, what about in 3rd and 4th and 5th? Or Wonderboy was walking him down. Yeah, but Kevin Holland, his body wasn't really responding the way it normally does because he was already concussed from the damage he took in the first round. So I think if you would have watched the Tyron Woodley fight, because you got to say Tyron Woodley is not a striker at all by any means.
He's just a knockout artist.
He's a knockout artist. But at the same time, if you would have took that approach and you were like 6 inches taller, you're way longer than him when it comes to reach. With power, man. That was just, he clearly didn't do his research on Wonderboy.
I think that Kevin kind of likes this thing of, I'm a fan-friendly fighter. I put on exciting fights, da-da-da-da-da. And that's cool. But I think last night kind of showed him I made a mistake. And I think it was very apparent in the post-fight interview that he made a mistake because his corner ended up stopping there, I want to say. But